Premier League title race has been recently executed, and today we are talking about one of the most exciting title races in this century. Manchester City won finally their sixth Premier League title in 7 years and their fourth in a row, setting a new record in English football. For Pep Guardiola, breaking this record was the main driving force after achieving the treble. Who would have thought leaving a legacy of trophies is as important a goal for Guardiola as inspiring his colleagues and inventing new roles for his players? When we realized we were in the race, we started talking about it with the team. It's stuck in our minds. No one has ever done this, guys. No one. Not Liverpool in the 80s, not Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United in 90s or later, not Chelsea with Abramovich and Mourinho, and not Arsenal with Wenger. If they couldn't do it, then it's truly a great achievement. At first glance, the championship that reached this new height seems no different from previous ones. City checked off all as usual boxes of come to expect from years of dominance in the Premier League. Style, once again, City led in possession and territorial dominance, maintaining their discipline, and so on. Winning streak, this time it was a run of only 9 matches, but it came at most crucial moment when there was no room for even a draw, and Opta gave them only 33% chance of winning the title. TAA was right. When City smells blood, they are still unstoppable. Turning point, and yes, there was the one. There are different opinions on what this was. For Gary Neville, it was Kevin De Bruyne return that sparked the comeback at St James Park against Newcastle. For the players and Pep, it was the flight from Saudi Arabia back to Manchester after winning a Club World Cup. At that point, City was fifth in the Premier League, 8 points behind the leader. Pep flying in a business class overhead the players discussing Everton's style, a team they were to face soon, and realized their motivation was intact. From then on, City didn't lose in the Premier League and dropped only 3 points. And there was also a dramatic moment. This, of course, refers to Stefan Ortega, safe from Heung-min Son in one-on-one situation. Jamie Carragher compared it to Vincent Kompany goal against Leicester City in the 2018-2019. Different episodes, but the comparison is apart. Both happened in an ultimate moment with City direct competitors having already played their match and applied pressure. The uniqueness of this title lies elsewhere. Perhaps for the first time under Guardiola, Manchester City didn't appear to be a machine that drains opponents through unrivaled quality of play. This is hard to see usually, but expected points is good tool to take a look at that. The metric evaluates created and conceded chances to assign a fair result. Even in this season, Pep topped this mini tournament, but never before has City allowed a competitor so close, not in points, but in on field performance. This primarily speaks to Arsenal's progress, first of all. They closed the gap through smart marketing acquisition, maturity, and a solid defense, and impressive set pieces coaches created by Nicolas Jovier. But City also gave reasons to doubt themselves. The main issue throughout the season, and compared to the treble season, was the midfield. The main quartet last spring consisted of Rodri, John Stones, Gundogan, and Kevin De Bruyne. There were matches where City couldn't rely on any of them. Gundogan left for Barcelona last summer, and his qualities were honestly attempted to be replaced, but Calvin Phillips, Mario Kovacic, or Marius Nunes couldn't even collectively replace his impact. The creation was useful, but even he could only compare for some of Gundogan's qualities and not all at once. De Bruyne was injured and in the first match of the season and missed the entire first half. Stones didn't suffer serious injuries but was still out nearly as often as De Bruyne, and his importance to City in top form was crucial, and it was shown by Luton manager Rob Edwards, who before a cup game was more upset about Stone's recovery than about Erling Haaland's recovery. Rodri avoided injuries, but had to carefully avoid bookings in the final stretch to prevent a third ban of the season. The first two resulted in four losses in four matches for City, including three in the Premier League. Forced experiments in the midfield led to endless search by Guardiola. This isn't new for him, but usually by spring the coach finds a stable formula. This time he was deprived of the coexistence combinations that had formed last season. Not all experiments were unsuccessful, like, let's see, Joshka Guardiola's a fullback role as one of the most successful ones. But the sheer numbers certainly impacted the quality of players and exposes weaknesses. Never before in the Guardiola era has City been so vulnerable to counterattacks. They were the worst in both Premier League and Champions League. Control over opponents also suffered, and City let slip several victories by failing to close out games. And here is a telling comparison of the for the XG difference in Manchester City's matches when leading by one goal. In season 21-22, 1.82. In season 22-23, 1.47. In a season 23-24, 0.74. Where City used to close matches with the calm of a python, this time they gave their opponents a chance. They managed to scare to this title thanks to a combination of two factors: individual players' performances, their transformation. Without Guardiola's contribution, nothing would have happened, but the evolution of Rodri and Phil Foden reaching a new level, among others, was largely a forced measure. Rodri admitted that this season he specifically worked out on attacking contribution due to Gundogan's departure and De Bruyne's injury. It turned out to be grand for a defensive midfielder. He practiced both Ilkay Gundogan's explosive runs and Kevin De Bruyne's delicate passes. Sometimes he combined both techniques in one match. It's a pity that all this wasn't enough to get even a nomination for Player of the Year. But his transformation was really crucial. Foden's case is a direct consequence of Kevin De Bruyne's injury. Phil had been begging Pep for years to give him a chance in a central midfield. Kevin's absence cleared the zone, and Foden took advantage and armed himself with so many techniques that he didn't lose his brightness even when the Belgian returned. Whether he deserved the Player of the Year award is debate, but Phil definitely played well enough to be talked about as an adult player. It's symbolic that in the last match, all three goals were organized by him, and the second one was scored by Rodri. The second point: Manchester City endurance over the long haul. Continuing to win when details decide to be outcome, not collapsing in the quality of plays, was also due to experience. A characteristic quote from Pep after the first game against Real Madrid in the Champions League. A few years ago, we would have lost here by 3 or 4 goals. If we played like that then, We couldn't handle the emotions. Extracting the maximum from the best periods in the game and minimizing the damage from the bad ones is fundamental in football. Over the last couple of years, we've improved in this. The result of the experience and the players becoming more mature. Yes, he was talking about the Champions League, but there were several cases in the Premier League too. Perhaps the most similar was the tsunami as Pep compared the atmosphere at Anfield in the last match. Jurgen Klopp recently admitted he considers the 60 minutes of that game the best during his time at Liverpool. City suffered under pressure, took many punches but survived. Calming substitution, Kovacic entry, and team maturity helped. There were several other important matches where mentality came to the forefront. The cup games with Chelsea, where City came out a painful Champions League exit, and fatigue like Stones vomit on the field. The away match against Nottingham Forest, where they managed to control the host only by Bernardo's move to midfield. With Bournemouth, where they became so blazoned by the end that the game played with only one nominal centre back. Individual maturity was highlighted by the summer match against Sheffield United. The Pep prized Kyle Walker, who made a mistake in the 85th minute but helped pull through at the end. He made a mistake that allowed them to equalize, but immediately after that took the ball and went on the attack. Forgot about the mistake, told himself, okay, I'll fix it, I'll win this match for us. And this attitude for just good players from top ones. Everyone can make a mistake, but what matters is how you react to it. City's progress in this regard is reflected in points gained in matches where they had to come back. The maximum before this season was just 10. This season they earned 24. The frequency with which they had to come back highlights the vulnerability mentioned earlier. But the ability to push through it is about the experience the team has gained over the years with Pep. It may sound loud, but in terms of pulling out matches with determination, City has become very familiar to Real Madrid. Pep once joked that he called the Bernabeu offices to find out how to go stage comebacks. Now Guardiola has copied Real Madrid habits of winning even when not everything goes well with the play, turning it into a regular feature over the marathon distance. Even not the best version of City became champions. This is undoubtedly a reason to think. For some, it's due to financial doping, as Arsene Wenger's once described Guardiola capabilities. For others, it's a reaction to respect Pep himself. Perhaps Jurgen Klopp found the golden mean. He acknowledged that the wealth makes a difference, but also empathized that no one coach could win 4 titles in a row, even with such a budget. 8 years ago, Pep came to England amid doubts that he could repeat the style of play that worked in Spain and a bit in Germany. He couldn't silence the critics on the first try, but then he mastered it. The new title is a reason to praise Pep not for his tactical evolution, but also for nurturing a team that remains stable during a storm, even without solid deck. And now a few words about the best contender in the history of this league, in my humble opinion. Sorry, Jurgen Klopp. No surprise in the title race. The words of Trent Alexander-Arnold from 2 races ago have aged even better. If Manchester City is close to the top and at the finish and smells blood, it's over. You can't stop them once they get on a roll. City in this mood is ruthless. Everyone knows about the superpower of City. Here is David Moyes' pre-match response about the chances of stopping their championship match. They are so good at this stage of the season that it would be hard for us to stop even their under 14 team. In a decisive title match, I'll say this: we will be professionals. We will try to do everything we can. Now it sounds like a new category of championship races needs to be introduced. Won, lost, and lost again Guardiola's Manchester City. Arsenal became the latest victim of Pep's machine, and recently, Jurgen Klopp recalled 2019 98 versus 97 points season uh, before this decent match. A few seconds before the goal, I thought Brendan Rodgers, come on, it's time to take Madison off, he's tired. And at that moment, he was just 5 meters away from Vincent Company and could have blocked the shot. I was lying on the couch, and after the shot, I was close to a heart attack. This time, Liverpool spared themselves the extra suffering. Arsenal had their heart attack moment during the race. A one-on-one save by City second keeper Stefan Ortega against Heung-min Son. In this season, Arsenal won more often than the Invincibles, 28 over 26 victories, but still ended up worse than City. It's very tempting to call the plot and race of two championship teams where someone, City rival, must lose. For many, this will sound like an unconvincing attempt to console the losers. As an Arsenal fan, I have a hidden interest. I admit I could be wrong, but the definition still seems to lost fitting. Key facts from this season. Average gap between first and second place is 1.52 points. This means there was never been such density from round to round in the entire English football history. Second, average point per game and goal difference of the Premier League champion. The average of 2.29 points per game and goal difference of 1.32. This season's Arsenal has 2.34 points per game and a difference of 1.63. Only three teams has the second place team scored more, and only twice has the goal difference better. Both times Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. And also a definition from De Bruyne. This season, I wouldn't even call it a finishing series. It feels like we haven't lost since the match against Villa in early December. Arsenal lost only once in the last 17 matches. It's more than that. Overall, congratulations to the mega champions and respect to the guys who fell behind by just 2 points. Any team that has lost points and finished below first place has a temptation to seek the turning point where everything went wrong around the season. Arsenal has two suitable moments. The home nil 2 against West Ham, despite 30 versus 6 in shorts, and City played a similar match in the last round and left Moyes' team no chance with ironically similar stat 30 shirts against 6. And the loss to Villa, a brilliant first half but a lack of experience when they couldn't score during their period. The result, the only slip in the finishes, besides the away game at the Etihad. The difference between champions and almost champions is crucial. In such moment, the difference between champions and almost champions becomes especially clear. These searches can be pleasant as they show the proximity and realism of the coveted goal, but are not constructional and they ignore the reverse moment. Points were thanks to character, luck, and other factor. Anything worked out in favor of the team. Although it could have gone otherwise. The overall picture without adjustments and cherry picking looks like this. Round 29. The teams return from the last international break to the season final. Three clubs are in the title race. Between them, only 1 point. And all models assess Arsenal's calendar as the most difficult, and since then, the team has only lost to Aston Villa and draw at the Etihad. The helishing stretch was passed almost successfully, but only Arsenal took points from City in their spring mood. This is not a losing finish, but in a nominance for the best supporting role. Everyone understands that it's not the main award, but it's an award nonetheless, not a reason for ridicule. The team has become more flexible and solid in defense, thanks to Declan Rice and Kai Havertz. This has been particularly useful in big matches, and Arteta has a special plan for them, focusing on double protection of the pivot zone. Arsenal didn't lose to any from the classic top four. Moreover, Arsenal holds the status of the most dominant team in its prime period. Here is a comparison of City and Arsenal based on the difference in created moments. Each point takes into account the form over a distance of 6 matches, allowing us to set peaks and dips in form. Arsenal's peak is stronger while City has traced the distance more steadily. It's absolutely logical that the most stable team emerged victorious. Simply put, Arsenal was also very good and even superior to the competitor in some aspects. As a fan, I'm satisfied. Winning the title would have been nicer, but it's absolutely certain that this Arsenal cannot be regarded as inadequate. Teams with big investments take years to reach such a level. Throughout the season, we've also heard a lot of complimentary reviews from Arsenal legends like Freddie Ljungberg, Ray Powell, or Patrick Vieira, who often visit the base of the club. And their most common comment is that they do like the mentality of those players, and this is a good sign, but it's not a guarantee in a league with that's all our good sign, but it's not a guarantee in a league with Guardiola's City. On Sky Sports, Gary Neville delivered a verdict on the era. Sometimes I feel that Arsenal and everyone else just need to wait for Pep Guardiola to leave the next couple of years. Yes, of course, you can demand more points from them, but such a perspective would be wrong because Arsenal this season has been incredible and has collected an amazing number of points. You can remember the match against Villa and roughly criticize it, but the point is different. In the usual race, a team has the right to one slip up, but against Guardiola's team, no, you have no such right. Races against Guardiola make opponents' fans stoic, force them to invent new descriptive constructs like two championship teams, but one is a Guardiola's team, and encourage them to enjoy the process more. The realization that you can be a stable, well rounded top team and still never reach Pep's level, but at the same time make the world more multidimensional. It's not just about two poles, champion and loser. You can lose the race and still enjoy the season. It's not like that anymore.